Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Stellenbosch University, and thank you for joining us for the installation of our 16th Chancellor. My name is Bantu, and I'll be handling the announcements before we start with the ceremony. So thank you for your attention. Goeiemiddag almal en hartlik welkom aan elkeen van u by hierdie feestelike geleentheid van die Universiteit Stellenbosch. Dit is die inhuldiging van ons 16de kanselier. My naam is Bantu en ek doen die aankondigings voor ons amptelik begin met die seremonie. Baie dankie vir die aandag. Molweni manene na manenekazi. Namkelekile kwi-University yase Stellenbosch. Kwaye siyanibulela ngokuba ingxalenye yomsitho wokumiliselwa kwengqonyela yethu yeshumi elinesithandathu. Igama lam nguBantu kwaye ndiza kuninika izaziso phambi kokuba siqale lo msitho. Ngoko ke ndiyabulela ngokubaza indlebe kwenu. Interpretation services are available in English, to Afrikaans, and to isiXhosa. If you want to make use of this and you have not already received a set of headphones and a receiver, please raise your hand now and one of the ushers will give you one of the devices. To use the translation device, to turn it on, you have to open the headphones. The big circular button is for the volume, and then the smaller circle button in the middle is for the channels. For Afrikaans, you can switch to channel 1, and for isiXhosa, you can switch to channel 2. We also have sign language interpretation available on stage. If you require this service, we kindly ask that you be seated near the front of the venue to ensure clear visibility. Before we begin, just the following announcements, please. We ask that you please switch off all mobile cell phones, turn them to silent for the duration of the event. We have a generator on standby in case of a power failure. It will take a few minutes to switch over to the support system. We ask that you please remain seated in that event. Phambi kokuba siqale nazi izaziso. Sicela nicime zonke imfonofono zenu okanye zibe kwimo ethuleyo ngexesha siqhuba. Ukuba kuthe kwacima umbane, sinayo i-generator. Kuza kuthatha imizuzu embalwa umbane uphinde ubuye. Sicela nihlale phansi ukuba oko kuthe kwenzeka. The bathroom facilities are to my left. All entrances are clearly marked. Die badkamer geriewe is aan my linkerkant en die ingange is duidelik gemerk. Zikhona izindlu zangasese ekhohlo kwam. Indawo zokungena kuzo ziboniswe ngokucacileyo. We also have medical assistance available at the back of the hall. If you need help, please do not hesitate to approach any of the ushers. Daar is ook mediese bystand beskikbaar aan die agterkant van die saal. Indien jy hulp benodig, moet asseblief nie huiwer om enige van ons assistente te nader nie. In the event of an emergency evacuation of this venue, please proceed calmly to the exit closest to you. The gathering points are in front of the hall towards Victoria Street, and that is to my right-hand side. We ask that you please follow the instructions of the safety officer as well as campus security staff. Now, to the ceremony itself. Allow me to introduce our musicians. We have the Stellenbosch University Trumpet Brass Quintet, and they will play for the academic processions. Also joining me on stage is an invitational choir conducted by Professor Johan de Villiers. They will sing the national anthem and will also perform additional musical pieces throughout the ceremony. We will also be listening to Atule Chiula, accompanied by Stellenbosch University Brass Quintet. Baie dankie vir die geduld met die aanwysings. Enkosi nonke ngomonde wenu ngayo yonke imiyalelo. Here is an interesting piece of information. This ceremony can be followed live via live streaming from anywhere in the world. The website to use is www.sun.ac.za/streaming. After the ceremony, we invite you to join the academic procession, which will make its way down Victoria Street towards Admin B, and that is the street to my right-hand side, led proudly by the Stellenbosch University Military Band. A group photo will be taken at the end of the procession, and we warmly encourage all guests to walk with us in a moment of shared celebration. Please, however, we ask that you allow the procession to exit the venue first. Ons is bykans gereed om met die seremonie te begin. Ons vra dat u sal opstaan vir die akademiese prosesie. Lixesha lokuba kuqalwe ngomsitho. Sicela niphakame ngexesha kungena isithwalandwe eholweni. We are ready to start with the ceremony. Please rise for the academic procession. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, students and friends of the university, you may be seated. Let us give a warm round of applause to the Stellenbosch University Brass Quintet, who led the academic procession into the hall with such elegance and flair. We also acknowledge and give thanks to the Stellenbosch University Conquering Spirits Ensemble, conducted by Dr. Nkebakasi Nkwana, for the entertainment they provided to our guests on arrival. It is a true honor to welcome each and every one of you to this special occasion. While I cannot welcome everyone by name, allow me to acknowledge the following distinguished guests and representatives. Governor Lesetja Kganyago, our Chancellor, along with his wife Sibusiso and his children Puti, Temba, and Mabodiba, and his distinguished guests and friends, we are deeply honored by your presence. members of the board of the South African Reserve Bank, deputy governors and other executives of the South African Reserve Bank, representatives from the Department of Higher Education and Training, and other national and provincial government officials. Thanks for joining us. The Commissioner of the South African Revenue Service, Edward Kieswetter, the Executive Mayor of Stellenbosch, Chancellor Jeremy Vasser, a warm welcome to you. Professor Sean Pather, representing the Rector and Vice-Chancellor of the University of the Western Cape, members of the Stellenbosch University Council, your continued governance and support are greatly valued. A special welcome to our newly appointed Rector and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Daresh Ramjagannath, who assumed office on 1 April. We wish you a successful and inspiring term of leadership. Members of the University Senate, thank you for your academic stewardship. Our Student Representative Council, led by the Chair, Ms. Rikisha February, and all other student leaders present today, including members of Student Parliament. Your voices and contributions are essential to the life of this institution. A special word of welcome to Professor Rudolf Gous, representing the Chancellor's Circle. Other members of the Chancellor's Circle, we appreciate your presence. Partners and friends of the university, and in particular our donors and funders, without whose generous contributions we could not advance our vision of knowledge in service of society. Ons is opreg dankbaar vir u steun. Members of the Rectorate, our deans, heads of schools, divisions, and other university entities, your leadership shapes the academic and operational excellence we strive for. Trustees of the Stellenbosch Trust, thank you for your ongoing support and partnership. Our dedicated staff, academic, professional, and support personnel who contribute daily to the success and growth of our institution. Our students who remain at the heart of our academic mission and purpose. Our alumni, valued members of our extended university community whose achievements continue to inspire and uplift our institution. A warm welcome as well to everyone joining us via live stream from our other campuses or around the world. Your presence, though virtual, is sincerely appreciated. And lastly, to the members of the media, thank you for covering today's proceedings and sharing this important moment with the broader public. Sjoe, dit was 'n mondvol. If I've skipped you, please forgive me. As they say, all protocol observed. Today we gather in celebration and in recognition of a significant milestone, the formal installation of Governor Lesetja Ganyago as the 16th Chancellor of Stellenbosch University. Although Governor Ganyago officially assumed this office in January 2025, today marks the ceremonial affirmation of his leadership and symbolic role at the helm of our institution. As set out in our institutional statute, the Chancellor serves as the titular head of the university, a role both deeply symbolic and institutionally significant. The Chancellor represents the values and vision of our university, acting as a dignified presence at key ceremonies and embodying the spirit of excellence and public service. In accordance with our statute, a Chancellor must be a person of stature, capable, suitably qualified, and with a demonstrated record of leadership. Importantly, the Chancellor may not be a current employee or student at the university, nor may they hold an executive managerial post at any other higher institution of learning. The Chancellor is elected by an electoral college composed of the members of the University Council and the Executive Committee of the Senate. When a vacancy arises, the Registrar issues a public call for nominations, inviting members of convocation to submit nominations of suitable candidates. Each nomination must carry the support of at least 20 convocation members and be accompanied by the nominees' signed acceptance. The Electoral College then convenes to consider the nominations under the leadership of the Chair of Council. If more than one candidate is nominated, voting continues until a candidate receives a majority. In the event of a sole nominee, a secret ballot is still conducted, with a majority vote required for election. If such a majority is not achieved, a new election process must follow. Once elected, the Chancellor serves a 5-year term and may be re-elected once for a consecutive term. This process, guided by the collective wisdom of the university's governing bodies and community, ensures that the office of Chancellor remains a position of dignity and stature. Governor Kganyago, we thank you for accepting this call to serve, and we look forward to the continued benefit of your leadership and vision. It is a great honor for me to now introduce our invitational choir, conducted by Professor Johan de Villiers. This choir comprised mostly members of the former world-renowned Stellenbosch Libertas Choir that entertained audiences across the globe until 2022. They are being accompanied by one of the most acclaimed organists in South Africa, Zurada Temang. May I please ask you to rise as we listen to the choir's rendition of our national anthem. Thank you. You may be seated. U mag maar u plekke inneem. Thank you to the choir conducted by Professor de Villiers. It is now my honor to introduce Professor Daresh Ramjagannath, who officially took office as the 13th Rector and Vice-Chancellor of Stellenbosch University. We are privileged to have him lead the institution into its next chapter of academic excellence and societal impact. Thank you, Prof. Ramjagannath.
Thank you very much to our Registrar, Dr. Retief. By the virtue of the powers invested in me as the Rector and Vice-Chancellor, I hereby declare this congregation of Stellenbosch University duly constituted for the purpose of the installation of the 16th Chancellor of the University. Ek verklaar dat hierdie bijeenkoms vir die inhuldiging van ons 16de kanselier na behore saamgestel is. It is my great honor to welcome you all to this significant moment in the life of Stellenbosch University. Governor Lesetja Kanyako is a widely respected economist, policymaker, and public servant. As governor of the South African Reserve Bank, he has demonstrated exceptional courage, wisdom, and steadiness in navigating times of economic uncertainty, both locally and globally. His leadership reflects the very qualities we seek to instill in our graduates at Stellenbosch University: critical thinking, ethical conviction, and a deep understanding of how to serve society beyond self-interest. As a university, we are guided by a clear vision: to be Africa's leading research-intensive university, globally recognized for excellence, innovation, and inclusivity. This vision rests on our institutional values of excellence, compassion, accountability, respect, and equity. And in Governor Kanyako, we see a leader who lives these values, not only through his stewardship of monetary policy, but in his principled and consistent commitment to building a stronger, more just South Africa. At Stellenbosch University, we believe that education must serve a greater purpose: to uplift, to enlighten, but importantly, to empower. And as Chancellor, Governor Kanyako now becomes part of our shared mission to shape future leaders who will carry this torch forward. Chancellor, we are deeply honored that you have accepted this role. Your wisdom, your stature, and servant-oriented leadership will be a source of inspiration to our students, staff, alumni, and all of our partners and stakeholders. I now hand back to our Registrar, Dr. Ronel Retief, who will lead us through the remainder of the program.
Thank you, Professor Ramjagannath. It is now my pleasure to hand back to the choir. They will perform an extract from Mendelssohn's Elijah, a blessing that they bestow on our new Chancellor.
For he shall give his
I now call on the Chair of Council, Ms. Nikki Newton-King, to invest the Stellenbosch University Chancellor's gown on Governor Letsetja Kganyago as the 16th Chancellor of Stellenbosch University. The Chancellor will then provide his inaugural address.
Well, we can get it open. Governor Kganyago, please could I invite you to stand and step forward? Aha. Distinguished guests, the Registrar has welcomed us all, but I want specifically to recognize the many friends and family of the Governor who are here today to celebrate and honor his installation as Chancellor, and how very heartwarming it is to see their pride in this moment, Governor. This is only the 16th time in the university's 107 years that it's had the privilege of welcoming and formally conferring the title of Chancellor. I've known Governor Kganyago from his early days at National Treasury, and like all of us have watched and celebrated his rise as a formidable and thoughtful champion of rigorous analysis and of independence and courage in a space that is a critical compass point for the stability of our precious country. And so it is a special honor for me today to conduct this part of the installation ceremony. In doing so, I want to recognize that Governor Kganyago was elected unanimously as Chancellor by the Electoral College. Following, as you heard, an open call for nominations. As Stellenbosch University strengthens its journey to be Africa's first top 100 university in, with, and for the African continent, we remain steadfast in our commitment to the values of excellence, compassion, accountability, respect, and equity. These values not only inform our academic and institutional endeavors, but also shape the symbols through which we express our identity. Symbols that speak to who we are today and the future we are building together. These symbols have been reimagined, and the new gown which we are presenting to the Chancellor today is the result of extensive collaboration with our students, our staff, our alumni, and the broader Stellenbosch community. At the heart of the design is the hope pattern first introduced during the tenure of our late Rector and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Russell Bortman, and is now complemented by elements drawn from our recently introduced ceremonial Stellenbosch University emblem. So with that, now to the formal bit. Governor, once I've got the registrar in place, on behalf of Stellenbosch University and following your earlier acceptance of the appointment, it is my distinct honor to ceremonially confer upon you the title, the honor and authority, responsibilities and privilege vested in the office of Chancellor. To signify your installation and formal acceptance, I'm now going to invest you with the Chancellor's gown. Now that he's formally dressed, congratulations, Chancellor Kganyago. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those kind words. Greetings, honored guests, staff and students. Rector and Vice Chancellor, Professor Diresh Ramjuganath, Chairperson of Council, Dr. Nikki Newton-King, I thank you for so warmly welcoming me into the University of Stellenbosch community. And I'd say all protocols observed, they had been acknowledged. I would also like to acknowledge my colleague and Deputy Governor, Deputy Governor Fundi Chasivana, who had made the trip. The other deputy governors, unfortunately, had to run the bank whilst I am away. And thank you to my wife, Zibusiso, and my Stellenbosch University as its 16th Chancellor, not least because of this institution's role in shaping some of our country's greatest minds. I accept this role with a deep sense of responsibility, aware of the complex legacy that I inherit and the expectations that lie ahead. I look forward to doing my part, given the important role of institutions in our democratic society. It is critical that we protect these institutions against threats to academic freedom. When he was installed as Chancellor, Justice Edwin Cameron, a Stellenbosch alumnus, made a moving observation about why we should care about our universities, intellectual attainment, and institutional excellence. And I quote, "for our own dignity. We do so for our own sense of self-worth as South Africans," close quote. I recently shared a similar sentiment during an address I gave at another historic South African university, linking this to the importance of ethical leadership amid threats to academic freedom. As incubators of knowledge, critical thinking, and social change, universities are crucial to our future. They reflect who we are and what we aspire to be, and so we must fiercely protect their ability to nurture curiosity, innovation, and diversity of thought. For it is institutions like these that inspire young people to look outside of themselves and seek out solutions that make the world better. This type of nurturing force may, for example, drive a group of medical students to raise the money needed to launch South Africa's first transplant support unit, potentially saving hundreds of lives. I'm of course referring to the Save 7 initiative, which after an innovative fundraising campaign was recently able to establish the LifePod unit at Tygerberg Hospital. The students behind the initiative are a huge credit to this institution, demonstrating that compassion and ingenuity are at the heart of its mission. Their work is a powerful example of how student leadership can drive real-world change. There are countless other examples of how Stellenbosch students and alumni have identified problems and taken bold steps to tackle them, like Francisca Dako, who, on top of being a Mandela Rhodes Scholar and entrepreneur, hosts soup kitchens to feed hungry students, or Kathin Lee, whose work supports female prisoners through donations from Stellenbosch students. Just this week on Youth Day, members of the university community walked 13 kilometers to raise funds to clear student debt, which remains a huge impediment to access to higher education, effectively locking underprivileged students out and stalling true transformation. I draw great pride from knowing that I am now forever connected to an institution that has fostered this type of care for its students and society at large. In 2018, I was humbled to receive an honorary doctorate from this university. I felt back then, as I do now, the weight of my association with Stellenbosch. once a stronghold of apartheid-era Afrikaner nationalism and still contending with that legacy. Like many others before me, I recognized the need to express in no uncertain terms that the pursuit of transformation is critical to this university's future. It is true that even in the iron grip of apartheid, there were members of the Stellenbosch University community who were vocal in their opposition to the regime, including the late economist Peter Blanche, whose work inspired wider resistance amongst the student body. But it is equally true that change came far too slowly and that reluctance to transform persisted well into the country's democracy. In Country of Grief and Grace, renowned poet Angie Krog, who shares strong ties with this university, wrote about the deep wounds of apartheid, which, if left unconfronted, will continue to inflict pain in the future. And I quote, "Things may continue as before, but in a different shade." The poem ends. It is no secret that in recent years, Stellenbosch University has felt the weight of its past on the present. Racism has no place in South Africa, least of all at an institution entrusted with shaping the country's future leaders. And resistance to transformation not only undermines our commitment to justice and inclusion, but also stifles diversity and limits the depth of intellectual exploration. It remains one of the most significant obstacles to realizing our shared vision of this country's universities. That said, I would be remiss not to acknowledge the work this institution has done to prioritize Stellenbosch's transformation journey, especially over the past 10 years under former Rector and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Wim de Villiers. Writing about de Villiers' leadership, Director of Stellenbosch University's Center for Social Justice, Professor Thuli Madonsela, made the following remark, and I quote, "Transformation is not for the faint-hearted or lily-livered. To lead amid storms requires huge reserves of emotional, social, spiritual, and intellectual intelligence plus agility," close quote. We can take comfort in knowing that these qualities are in large supply at Stellenbosch University. We must nurture these if we are to rise to the challenge of our time. Finally, it is worth saying that building up Stellenbosch University's deep reservoir of talent would not be possible without academic freedom. There was a time in South Africa's history when academics spent much of their energy fending off threats to this sacred freedom. In 1987, students and alumni gathered in their thousands across the country to protest regulations that would give the apartheid government more control over university appointments and curricula. The government decree, which came in effect on the 19th of October 1987, also instructed universities to act against anti-apartheid activists and report on their activities to the then Minister of Education, F.W. de Klerk. Universities were threatened with subsidy cuts if they failed to do so. As a young student activist, I recall the collective outrage and widespread unity that led to a nationwide demonstration believed to be the biggest academic protest in our history. At this very institution, 300 students and academics bravely joined the protest action. These demonstrations were famously depicted in a series of paintings by Keresemusi Richard Bahulu, who was the first black student to earn a master's degree in fine arts from the University of Cape Town. As some of you may know, sadly, these works were later lost in a fire set by students protesting for free higher education. I say all this not only to express not only to express what is at stake as institutions like our own face attack, but to also highlight the immense privilege of being able to teach and learn and sometimes fight with the freedom we have to do so today. We must safeguard this freedom and continue to honor it with a spirit of curiosity, engagement, and critical inquiry. As I step into this role, I do so with a commitment to the values that must guide us: integrity, courage, and compassion. Let us continue to build a university that not only reflects the best of who we are, but also the best of what we can become. Thank you.
Chancellor Ganyago, on behalf of Stellenbosch University, I wish to extend our sincere gratitude to you for your thoughtful and inspiring inaugural address. Your words have not only marked the beginning of your term with distinction, but have also reaffirmed the values and vision that guide our university. Your leadership, insight, and commitment to excellence will undoubtedly serve as a source of inspiration for our entire academic community. We are honored to have you as the Chancellor of Stellenbosch University and look forward to the journey ahead under your stewardship. Thank you once again. Distinguished guests, there is a slight amendment to our printed program. We invite you to enjoy with us a special musical performance by one of our own students, Atule Chiwula, accompanied by the Stellenbosch University Brass Quintet. Atule is a soprano, as you will soon hear, and is pursuing her diploma in practical music study. Alongside her classical studies, she has been an active member of the Stellenbosch University Jazz Band and has been performing on several occasions with the Stellenbosch University Wind Ensemble. Today, she will be singing The Prayer, as sung by Andrea Bocelli and Celine Dion.
I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go. will be safe. La luce che tu dai nel cuore resterà a ricordarci che l'eterna stella sei nella mia preghiera. Quanta fede c'è, lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be
Thank you, Atuli and the Stellenbosch University Brass Quintet for that beautiful rendition of the prayer. It is now my honor to invite Professor Nico Koopman to the podium to read the first message of congratulations from our Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Mimi Gondwe, on behalf of the Department of Higher Education.
Program Director, Vice Chancellor of Stellenbosch University, Chairperson of Council, the Khanyago family, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, Dumelang, Tobela, greetings to you all. On behalf of the Ministry of Higher Education and Training, I wish to add my voice to the many well-deserved messages of congratulations to the Governor of the South African Reserve Bank, Governor Lesetja Khanyago, on his installation as Chancellor of Stellenbosch University. Although I am unfortunately unable to join the proceedings in person, as I am on government business outside of the country, it is with great excitement that I extend my heartfelt congratulations to Governor Khanyago on this special occasion. I do not only speak as a proud alumna of this great university, having obtained both my master's and PhD in mercantile law at Stellenbosch University, but also as a South African directly involved in higher education and training in our country, when I say that the Electoral College made an excellent choice when it met in January this year to elect Governor Khanyago as the university's 16th Chancellor. In taking over from another great South African judge, Edwin Cameron, Governor Khanyago continues in the long line of our great compatriots who have had the pleasure and privilege of serving in our great institution of higher education. I do not doubt that Governor Khanyago will continue to extend the legacy of excellence and exceptional leadership during his tenure in office. This hope is not born out of empty optimism. It is born of Governor Khanyago's already well-documented exceptional leadership, integrity, and commitment to serving the public and the nation, particularly in economic policy. That this leadership was tried, tested, and demonstrated at a time in our country when the leadership of public institutions was under tremendous pressure from various sides, further confirms why the appointment of Governor Khanyago was an appropriate and inspired choice. This appointment is therefore a well-deserved and a fitting recognition for his fortitude under pressure and commitment to the values of good governance. It is equally a glowing reference to the university's commitment to excellence and value-based leadership. Governor Kganyago's appointment also comes at a critical time in the life of our country and our institutions. The higher education and training sector faces new challenges, and old ones keep re-emerging in new forms. Our universities face funding challenges at the very time that they are under pressure to increase access to students and provide them with decent learning and living facilities. As with the rest of the world, Stellenbosch University finds itself at the crossroads of new and emerging technologies occasioned by the rise in artificial intelligence, or as some argue, augmented intelligence, which will forever change the ways of learning and teaching. Our institutions of higher education, more especially our universities, must balance between being attractive to the best scholars from all over the world, while at the same time making local talent feel appreciated. These are just some of the challenges that a modern South African university leadership must contend with, and in time find sustainable solutions to. It is for a time such as this that the leadership of the university needs the leadership and ethical principles that Governor Kganyago embodies. His experience and track record in governance at one of the country's most important public institutions will be greatly appreciated and required. To the many young people across the country, I trust that Governor Kganyago's journey from the humble village of Gamaribana in Limpopo to the helm of one of the premier universities in our country and on our continent inspires you to see what is possible with hard work, integrity, and commitment. At the Department of Higher Education and Training, we look forward to the university under Governor Kganyago's chancellorship continuing to make its important contribution to the higher education and training sector. Once again, congratulations, and I wish you all the best, Governor, and now also Chancellor. The Deputy Minister says thank you.
Thank you, Professor Koopman. I now call on Professor Rudolf Gous. He is a retired Chief Economist of RMB, Honorary Professor of Economics at Stellenbosch University, and a distinguished member of the Stellenbosch University Chancellor Circle. Professor Rudolf Gous pursued his passion for sculpting. One of his remarkable works, The Two Hands Playing the Piano, is proudly displayed in the Endler foyer. So if you haven't seen it, you can go and have a look afterwards. Please join me in welcoming Professor Gous to the podium as he offers his congratulations to our new installed Chancellor.
Goedemiddag, dames en heren. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Chancellor's Circle, dus nou die kanselierskring, I want to congratulate you, Chancellor, on your appointment. When Stan du Plessis asked me late last year whether I would second your nomination, I enthusiastically agreed. The Chancellor's Circle was formed some 10 years ago. It was the brainchild of Karen Bruns and the late Martie van der Linde. It's a grouping of 31 mainly Martie alumni who feel strongly about the university and its future. Through their donations, They want to help it build its capacity as an excellent research-intensive university, which at the same time does top-notch teaching. As a group, we are very happy that you accepted the nomination to serve as Chancellor. On a personal note, I met Leseja some 34 years ago when he was part of the ANC's then newly formed Department of Economic Planning, the DEP. They had invited me as a private sector economist to share an analysis of the economy with them. None of us knew at the time, remember this is 91, when democracy would come about. We could also not know that this group of 6 very young economists would later serve the country in various capacities, most of them in more than one. The CEO of a banking group, the chairman of another banking group, the chairman of a large insurance company, a vice president of the BRICS Bank, 2 directors general of National Treasury, 2 ministers of finance, and 2 central bank governors. Ons het 'n lang pad gekom, hè, Leseja? Chancellor, you are held in high regard as Governor of the Reserve in South Africa, but you're also appreciated abroad for the many various roles that you play in international organizations, such as the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the G20 Working Group on IMF governance reform, and so forth. Pressure on central banks has increased in recent years, as we currently see in the United States and elsewhere. Importantly, you've also faced pressure from various quarters, including some politicians, trade unions, and some in business, to go the populist route. The best defense against these sentiments is clarity of purpose by the SARB, and being a persuasive advocate for prudent policy, together with a track record of delivering low and stable inflation, which is a cornerstone of macroeconomic stability. You've achieved these goals, and we are proud to be associated with you. You've remained steadfast in your defense of the bank's independence and the country, and indirectly the university is a better place for it. I support your often expressed sentiment that the inflation target should be reduced to the 3% more or less of our peer countries. In your speeches, you've clearly explained that the bank cannot by itself create economic growth and employment, and that the reasons for our poor performance lie elsewhere. You've patiently explained that what needs to be done and not be done by government to create the conditions for more rapid domestic and foreign investment, and so for more job creation. You've made it clear that the bank can only try to ensure that inflation and financial instability do not add to the country's many other economic and social problems. You've tried to convince critics of the bank that the benefits of bringing down inflation are felt in the long term, and that short-term quick fixes will jeopardize everybody's welfare in the long term. For our university and the educational sector broadly, it's crucial that the economic climate improves radically. Our economy has underperformed its peers badly for a very long time. Rectifying this requires that the Reserve Bank sticks to its guns, which I am sure it will do. But more importantly, it requires that government tackles far more urgently the policy and government failings that stand in the way of fixed investment, economic growth, and employment. Only a stronger economy can ensure that the growing tax revenue that enables proper funding of the government itself and of the basic and higher education, which is so badly in need of greater state support. I want to add that in my many years of interacting with the Reserve Bank, it has always been clear that under your and your predecessors' leadership, officials have served purely on merit. Unfortunately, this cannot always be said of most other public institutions today, nor for much of government, nor for most local authorities, met hierdie een uitgesluit. I conclude, Chancellor, by saying that we're proud to have you as our Chancellor. It is, however, a pity that the list of institutions where you studied does not include the University of Stellenbosch. Maar nou ja, at least you now its Chancellor. And as the Chancellor's Circle, we congratulate you on your appointment.
Thank you, Professor Gous, for your thoughtful words of felicitation. Your message of support and goodwill is deeply appreciated, and it adds great meaning to this important occasion. We are grateful for your presence and for the continued partnership and encouragement that you bring to Stellenbosch University. Thank you once again for honoring us today. As we draw this memorable occasion to a close, I invite you to enjoy a final performance by the choir, a masterpiece that needs no further introduction.
On behalf of Stellenbosch University, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all our esteemed guests, colleagues, students, alumni, and friends who joined us for this significant and joyful occasion. A special word of appreciation to everyone who contributed to the success of today's ceremony. Your presence and participation have made it truly memorable. Allow me to also extend our warmest congratulations once again to Chancellor Lesetja Kanyako on your formal installation. We are honored to have you as the 16th Chancellor of Stellenbosch University, and we look forward to the wisdom, dignity, and leadership you will bring to this important role. We wish you every success as you guide and inspire our university community into the future. Ons het nou die einde van die verrigtinge bereik en ek verklaar hierdie kongregasie van die Universiteit Stellenbosch as beëindig. Ek versoek u om op te staan en te bly staan totdat die akademiese prosessie die saal verlaat het. We have now come to the end of the proceedings, and I hereby declare this meeting of the congregation of Stellenbosch University closed. Would you please rise and remain standing while the academic procession leaves the hall? Thank you very much.